In the background, Theung's search for wine continued, his obsession driving him to darker places. The tension between these intertwined lives promised to escalate, bringing with it consequences none of them could predict. As Jungkook's drunken state intensified, his usual control slipped away. He stumbled into Wine's room, his movements erratic, but his intentions clear. Wine looked up from the bed, her expression a mixture of concern and frustration. Jungkook, you are drunk. What are you doing here? She asked, her voice sharp with irritation. Jungkook wavered on his feet, his gaze locking onto hers with a mix of longing and vulnerability. I needed to see you, he mumbled, his words slurred. I can't stop thinking about you. Once frustration grew, you're not in any state to be making decisions right now. Maybe you should just go. But Jungkook, driven by a combination of alcohol and raw emotion, moved closer to her. His hand reached out, brushing against her arm, sending a shiver through her. I'm sorry, I can't help it, he said, his voice softening. I need to be close to you. Before Wine could react, Chungo closed the distance between them. His lips found hers with a sudden, forceful urgency. The kiss was demanding and unrestrained, driven by his intoxicated state. Wine's initial reaction was one of shock and resistance. She tried to pull away, but Jungkook's grip was firm, his hands cupping her face. As he deepened the kiss, the alcohol had stripped him of his usual composure, leaving him with an overpowering need to claim her. Despite her best efforts to resist, Wine's resolve began to waver. As the kiss continued, the intensity of Jungkook's emotions and the physical closeness between them started to affect her. The way his lips moved against hers, the warmth of his breath, and the softness of his touch slowly began to break down her defenses. She felt herself melting into the kiss, her body betraying her initial resistance. The passion in Jungkook's kiss was undeniable, and despite herself, Vine found a strange, confusing attraction growing within her. Her hands moved from trying to push him away to tentatively gripping his shoulders, her fingers trembling. Jungkook pulled away slightly, his eyes reaching hers, filled with a mix of desire and regret. I didn't mean to, he started, his voice hoarse and filled with remorse. Wine, breathless and flushed, looked at him with a mixture of confusion and longing. You're drunk, Jungkook. This isn't fair to either of us. Jungkook's face was a mask of regret and vulnerability. I'm sorry, I didn't want to force this on you. I don't know what's happening to me. I have never felt this way before. Once heart raced, her emotions whirlwind. She felt conflicted, still processing the kiss and her own reaction to it. I need some time to think, she said softly, her voice trembling as she pulled away. Jungkook nodded, his expression filled with regret. I understand. I will give you the space you need. Just please know that I didn't mean to hurt you. As Jungkook stumbled out of the room, Wine sat on the edge of the bed. Her thoughts swirling, the kiss had stirred something within her, leaving her both unsettled and intrigued. The road ahead was unclear, but one thing was uncertain. Their complicated emotions and the tension between them had only grown more intense. The next morning, Wine woke up feeling emotionally and physically drained. The previous night's events weighed heavily on her mind. Jungkook's drunken, forceful kiss and the complex feelings it stirred within her left her feeling conflicted. She had expected to wake up to a situation that had only worsened, but instead there was an unexpected silence in the mansion. She carefully got out of bed, her heart still racing from the previous night's intensity. She decided to take a walk around the mansion to clear her mind. The grandeur of the house felt oddly oppressive. and she longed for some clarity and peace. As she wandered through the opulent hallways, she saw Jungkook sitting alone in the lounge, his posture slumped and his face hidden in his hands, the sight of him clearly affected and regretful. Stirred a mix of sympathy and frustration within her. Jungkook, she called softly as she approached him. Jungkook looked up, his eyes red and tired. The alcohol from the previous night had left him with a pounding headache and a foggy mind. He saw Wine standing in front of him, and his face reflected a deep sorrow. Wine, I'm so sorry about last night. His voice was rough, filled with genuine regret. I didn't mean to force myself on you. I know I messed up. Wine's expression was a mix of anger and hurt. You have to understand how wrong that was, Jungkook. You can't just take what you want. Regardless of how you are feeling, you need to respect my boundaries. Jungkook nodded, his head hanging now. I know I was out of line and I'm deeply sorry for crossing that boundary. I want to make it right, but I realize I can't undo what happened. Wyan sighed, trying to calm herself. I don't even know how to process this right now. The kiss, it was overwhelming. It made me question everything. I'm not even sure what I want or what to do next. Jungkook looked up, his eyes pleading. If there is anything I can do to make it right, just tell me. I don't want to make things worse. I just want to find a way to understand what you need. Wine took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her emotions. I need space to think and to process what's happened. I can't make any decisions right now. I need to figure out how I truly feel. Jungkook's face softened with understanding. Of course, take all the time you need. I will respect your space and won't push you. I just hope that in time you can see that I'm genuinely sorry and that I want to do better. Wine nodded, appreciating his willingness to give her space. Thank you for understanding. I need to sort through my emotions and figure out where to go from here. With that, Wine turned and walked away, her mind still swirling with thoughts and emotions. The mansion, with its opulence and grandeur, felt strangely isolating as she tried to navigate her conflicting feelings about Jungkook and the situation she found herself in. Jungkook watched her leave, feeling a mix of regret and hope. He knew he had a long road ahead to prove himself, not just to Wine but to himself. The night's events had left a mark on both of them. But Jungkook was determined to make amends, even if it meant waiting for Wine to come to terms with everything in her own time. As Wine continued her walk through the mansion, she couldn't shake the feeling that the story was far from over. The complexity of their emotions and the tension between them had only deepened, and the path forward was uncertain. Yet, amidst the confusion and pain, there was a glimmer of hope that maybe, just maybe, they could find a way to understand each other and navigate the tumultuous journey ahead.